As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. Remember the Game is brought to you by my website, abcomedy.net. You can find old episodes of both of my podcasts, along with my blog and information on all of my upcoming comedy shows. And if you're looking for a comedian for your next event, you can contact me through my website as well. Again, abcomedy.net. And if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe to it, and please leave us a good review. I'd really appreciate it. There will be a new episode for you every single Wednesday. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I hope you enjoy the show. Before there was Fortnite, before there was Call of Duty, before any of those things, you guys, there was GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64. What is up? Welcome back to Remember the Game, episode 11, talking GoldenEye with my buddy Kevin. Dude, who heard that song off the top and didn't flash back to, like, fights with their family or their brothers or their sisters or friends, the split screen combat, multiplayer, fighting, Oddjob. There's always that one dickhead in the family that used Oddjob. Oh, man. I'll tell you, I'm not a big shooter guy, but GoldenEye, who didn't play this game growing up? This is the best. Thank you guys so much for coming back and checking out another episode. This is a trip down memory lane. I feel like we'll get more into it in the podcast. I love the NES. I love the SNES. I like the Sega. Excuse me. But I feel like a lot of those games have held up and you can play today. Nintendo 64, I don't feel like it's held up as well, but for some, I don't know if it's because I was coming into, like, you know, I was a teenager at the time. The nostalgic feelings I get from the music. This is the third Nintendo 64 game we've done on this podcast. And much like with Mario Party and with Ocarina of Time, just the soundtracks just fill me with that sense of, like, nostalgia and going back to being a kid and having no care in the world other than what video game I was going to play or who the fuck was going to use Oddjob this week. You guys, enjoy this week's episode. I cannot imagine anyone listening to this didn't grow up playing GoldenEye. So please sit back, relax, enjoy this week's episode, and reminisce with us as we talk about the ups and downs, the pros and cons, the good and bad that was GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. Here we go. Yeah, like I did one of these about Ocarina of Time a few weeks ago.
That would have been great. I played the shit out of that game.
See, I just like...
But everyone did. You can't do uh 32 episodes on Ocarina of Time. You probably could, but
And the thing is, like, I think the Nintendo 64 as a whole hasn't, maybe this is just my perspective. It hasn't stood the test of time for me like other systems are. Like, I have fond memories of the NES, the SNES. I love the GameCube, but the Nintendo 64, I'm like,
really, you put the GameCube over the 64?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I love the GameCube. And I'm like, how old? You're my age. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm like 29.
Yeah. Okay. So did you get a Super Nintendo growing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad still has it. It's his retirement fund.
Beautiful. Like, I still love the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But then the Nintendo 64, people, like, I know a lot of people have been calling for an N64 classic, like they did with the NES and Super Nintendo. And part of me would love it because it'd be fun to play. Like, I love Mario Kart 64, some of those games. But I'm like the game that like GoldenEye, I'm like, everyone wants GoldenEye. I'm like, dude, I get that everyone loved that game 20 years ago. I don't know how well GoldenEye stood the test of time. I bet you if you fired it up right now, it would feel pretty rough.
Depends what you fire it up on. I would love to play GoldenEye with the new button map because GoldenEye originally got played with a single analog stick on the weird 3-prong N64 controller.
Yeah, and you had the C buttons.
Yeah, and it made sense at the time, but if you play like a modern shooter now with the twin analogs and the triggers and everything like that, and then go back to GoldenEye, which is what I did semi-recently.
Oh, yeah?
Because my brother loves that game, and he absolutely tools me at it. Just like, we'll just do endless rounds of versus, and I'll just die every round.
Sure.
But... excuse me. We know that game so well. Like, no matter where you spawn, we look at each other's screen. No matter what.
You have to. Yeah.
So we do that. Like, as soon as you spawn, my brother knows exactly where you are on the map, and he's sprinting towards you. It's like a race to get a gun so that you can at least shoot him a couple times before he kills you.
Right.
And then it'll take probably about 5 deaths for me to kill him once. It's nuts. Unless we go crazy and do like I love the multiplayer options in GoldenEye.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So you could do like 1-hit kills.
Yeah,
and
license to kill.
And then slappers only.
Oh,
that was probably the funnest way to play with my brother because they evened the playing field, and you would just run at each other and time it so that you hopefully slapped each other.
Yeah, that chop you used to do.
Yeah, because that's straight out of the Bond series. That's the comical karate chop to the
45
neck,
degree,
and that knocks people out, which would do nothing in real life.
Yeah,
but then you've got these characters, and all of the cheats in GoldenEye were awesome. Like, I love paintball mode, turbo mode.
There was big head mode,
DK mode, which stood for Donkey Kong, so it gave everyone big heads and long arms.
It looks so good, dude. That was our favorite way to play, was License to Kill, which was one shot, and pistols.
Yeah. So this is why people want GoldenEye back. I think they would want it revamped. They would want the new button layout. They would want crisper graphics. They'd have to do a graphic redo.
Sure.
GoldenEye looks like ass now.
It totally does. But like, I think, that's one of my biggest. It's not my biggest criticism with the Nintendo 64 because I'm not a huge graphics guy. If a game is fun, I don't particularly care what it looks like. But
to a certain extent,
I think that those Nintendo 64 games, I don't think a lot of them have stood the test of time at all. Same as the first PlayStation. Those games of like that era, like that transition into polygons and stuff.
Yeah,
it didn't end well. Like you said, the controller. I was trying to explain the Nintendo 64 controller to my nephew, and he tried it one time playing Mario Party. He said it as like his uncle's house. He's like, "What the? He's like, this is weird.
It's nuts."
And I'm like, "It is fucking weird."
Yeah.
And if
we all thought it was perfect. It worked. It was the next step.
None of us had ever had anything like that before. It was perfect. And like, I remember like when we got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas that year, we got Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64, and that controller was I was like, dude, you can make him crawl. Like, if you just push it, you can crawl. And GoldenEye, I don't know for yourself, but like outside of maybe a little bit of Doom, GoldenEye was my first person shooter, like real first person shooter.
I played more Doom before I got into GoldenEye, but yeah, I would say it was one of the first.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like the idea of sitting on the couch with 3 of your friends all shooting each other.
Yeah, that was
so much fun.
Yeah, that was revolutionary. And then there's like there's certain things that GoldenEye did that were just they're terrible looking back, but I love them and they hold a special place in my heart. I think there's about 4 or 5 different dying animations. So like all the enemies only have a certain select way to die.
Right.
And so if you kill a mob of dudes, like and like it's 6 dudes, they could all die the exact same way.
Yeah, they all like the exact same like motion.
Yeah, like I think one of my favorite ones is if you shot someone like not in the head but like in the neck, and they would hold their neck on the way down, they twitch the entire time. And
Yeah,
if you did that to a mob, it was ridiculously funny. And like so like GoldenEye, I think it followed the story very well. It was a little bit more than the movie because it still used the books and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but I think it was very well done. It was very sort of, it was a good native translation. I don't fucking know. They kept the story well.
that was one of the cool things about GoldenEye was like everyone remembers multiplayer.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers playing multiplayer with their friends.
And
But its campaign mode was like
huge.
it was massive, and like all
30
the
levels.
Yeah, and like all the different challenges and how if you played it on a higher difficulty,
Yeah.
you had more things to accomplish.
More missions, yeah. Different agent levels. So you can do
Yeah.
agent, special agent, then 00.
Yeah.
And then you could do it with cheats on. If you did, I think it was like you had to do certain levels on certain difficulties under a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
That would get you the cheat.
Yeah, because I remember there was
And some of them were nuts.
dude, was it like and it's been a long time since
Yeah.
the second level, the facility
Yeah, facility is a big one.
where
Yeah.
it was so hard. I remember trying it over and over and over.
Dude, if my brother ever comes over, it's a treat to watch him play that game because I don't know how he does it, but he has not lost any amount of skill on that. He he got all the cheats by
Wow.
himself.
Wow.
And this was like Game Shark era and stuff like that. So you could still there were resources to find out and stuff like that.
The internet was in its early days.
Yeah.
Being able to look up players' guides.
You
and
could,
stuff.
but it was like he did it. He
That's
did
sick.
all of them, and it was just like people would have my brother over to their house so that he could play GoldenEye to get all the cheats for them.
Right, yeah.
And it was just like he's really good at that game, and like he plays it with the traditional controller. It's the if he comes over for Christmas, it's what he wants to do. He's like, Dad, let's get the old N64 dug out. And he's playing GoldenEye before he's even unpacked his suitcase. Like, I'm serious, man. He loves that thing.
I love it.
And like he's painfully good at it. It used to be frustrating as a kid. Now that we're adults, I'm cool with
You
losing.
respect it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a huge amount of, it's a weird word to use, but respect.
Is he older than you or younger?
He's only 2 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I asked, because like my little brother is younger than me by 3 years. And GoldenEye is the first game I ever remember him being better than me at. And it's because he put time in. But yeah, like if he didn't get all the things in the single player mode, he got close.
Yeah.
Whereas like I sucked. Like I finished the campaign and then I would die all the time on the double agent mode. And then I ended up just playing multiplayer with my friends and moving on. But that was the first game I remember him like handedly being better than me at.
Yeah.
It was such a I really think people look at it, maybe not even with rose-colored glasses, because for the time it was epic. But I'm telling you right now, like for the people that want it back and want it on that classic, like if they didn't clean it, like I don't even know if they could get it because of the licensing and stuff. They probably couldn't get it.
Yeah, because it was a rare game, right? And
Yeah.
that's a company that died in like a very bad way, and like all their stuff is like owned for like perpetual licenses and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So it's like
I think they're developing for Microsoft now.
yeah,
But like it's like so I don't even know the amount of because like that's the and like this isn't just GoldenEye. This is just the Nintendo 64 as a whole, dude. Like if you look back on it, like games are either in licensing hell, like GoldenEye, like Perfect Dark, like the Turok games.
Perfect Dark is
Banjo-Kazooie's Xbox now.
Perfect Dark is exactly what people are asking for. If they want a GoldenEye remake, play Perfect Dark because there's a 360 version of it.
Dude, you know what? And I really enjoyed it. And I never played it on the Nintendo 64, but I really enjoyed it on the Xbox 360.
I would say it's a perfect port.
It was fun. And it is like you're right. Like it's not just because it was GoldenEye just done better. Like they cleaned it up. It was tighter.
They
more
added
options.
so much stuff. The multiplayer in Perfect Dark was like, I think it's unmatched. just because you could add computer players.
Yeah.
You could add up to like 8. And
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they had different personalities. So
Yeah.
they were all called stuff like Meat Sim or Turtle Sim or like Venge Sim. And like, so like Meat Sim was just meat. He was cannon fodder. Anyone could kill him. If you got killed by Meat Sim, you had to like take a shot. Like, like that's how bad it was. And then like Venge Sim, if you killed him, he would not stop until he killed the character that killed him.
Right.
They wouldn't matter. And then like Turtle Sim was always like would leave a battle, like would leave a firefight to go get a shield. Like that was his thing. So like if you damaged his shield and then he would run away from you to go get a shield, and then you'd have to chase him down to actually get the kill. They added so many layers. I think Perfect Dark is an all-around improvement on GoldenEye.
Sure.
I love GoldenEye though. It's a great game, and there's a lot of good memories there. And I'll still play it, but only because my brother loves it so much.
Right. I think by the time Perfect Dark came out, because I know what has happened for myself, a lot of people had started to leave for the PlayStation. That's what I had done. Whereas when GoldenEye came out, that was all we had, right?
Yeah.
And when you play multiplayer on GoldenEye, like you could play with the options and change the game, but really outside of picking Oddjob, everyone was the same. And if you're the fucking kid that picked Oddjob, you don't have any friends.
No Oddjob was like, that's a rule. That's a synonymous
same
rule
with us.
that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Whenever you start playing a GoldenEye multiplayer game, someone calls out no Oddjob.
You have to play no Oddjob.
Because it's dumb.
He's so Oddjob sucks.
Because he's like 3'6".
I know he was so hard to hit. And for kids that you know what I would love to like. Someone should do a fucking YouTube series where you take some of these kids that are all about like Call of Duty and shit today, and sit them down and make them play GoldenEye. They would get I'd probably get destroyed by them anyways. But like it was like at the time it was like this is incredible, and now it just
shooters have evolved so far.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason was that the only reason shooters got to be so popular was because of games like GoldenEye.
Sure, yeah. It really outside of stuff like Doom and Wolfenstein.
Yes, and
like
that's a different kind of shooter.
Totally is.
That's an arcade shooter.
GoldenEye is the first shooter I remember playing, and I remember struggling with those controls for so long, man. And then I remember when Halo came out and trying to get used to the dual analog for a shooter. Yeah, and that took me forever because I'd finally gotten used to GoldenEye, right, and those shooters.
But once you figured out the new 2 analog version, that's the only way to play a shooter as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Unless you're one of those PC Master Race guys. Whatever, you do your thing. I'll stick to consoles.
If you're listening to this, you're not welcome here. Please go. Master Race, suck my ass. PCs. GoldenEye just like it's because they did a remake, didn't they, for the Wii or something?
But it's a different. It was a different game.
Oh, okay.
It was. Yeah, I think they did remake it. I think so, actually.
I
remember, but they couldn't put Pierce Brosnan in it or some shit. They couldn't put his likeness in it.
Oh, okay.
So it's like Daniel Craig.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know. It was weird. I heard about it, but then I don't think I ever played it.
Yeah, I really don't know how well that game. I think everyone that grew up playing it looks at it like fondly. Because, dude, we had some great, you and I are the same age. Anyone in our age group had some incredible time sitting out playing multiplayer GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
And it was the time of couch co-op.
Sure.
There would be family gatherings for like whatever dinners, so like Thanksgiving or Christmas or some person's birthday. And the adults would go, gather in houses. They would bring their kids. The kids would go downstairs, play GoldenEye, and the parents would stay upstairs and drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and
just like that
until the kids started fighting, and then you had to come down and break it up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that experience is just like, it's way too universal. Like almost every single one of my friend groups at school growing up in like, elementary, junior high, less so in high school, because that's when video games stopped being like, it wasn't as cool to be like, say that you play video games at high school, because we're all trying to get laid.
Yeah. Unsuccessfully.
Yeah, no, like no one had sex in high school.
Yeah, no.
Very few people did, and it's like it wasn't even all that great once you had sex. It was like sex is dumb.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/RememberTheGame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/RememberTheGame. I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's fucking. I loved it, but I just, again, I don't keep beating the dead horse, but to go back to the concept of a Nintendo 64 classic, like to me, the NES and the SNES, those games have stood the test of time. At least some of them.
And you know what? There's a good enough library on those systems where I could be like, yeah, let's pick 30 games.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that with N64. I could pick probably over a dozen.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know.
If you ask me right now, assuming that licensing wasn't an issue, because licensing is a huge issue.
Yeah.
But let's just say it wasn't. Then, I mean, you have Mario 64, the 2 Zelda games, Mario Kart, the Mario Party games, probably GoldenEye or Perfect Dark or both.
Yeah.
I like my fondest memories of the Nintendo 64 are the wrestling games, because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and stuff like No Mercy was like unreal. But you see, the problem, like even right now, listing them off, with the exception of Mario and the 2 Zelda games, they're all multiplayer. Like, or at least that's their big draw. And it's like, are you going to package 4 of those giant fucking controllers in with a Nintendo 64 Classic? What are you going to do with those things,
Yeah.
And then, like, but at the same time, it's like the concept, like I was playing Switch with my nephew over the last week, and we were playing the same game. We were playing Fortnite, but we were playing on our own Switches, but playing together in the same room on the same couch.
Yeah.
And it's been so long since I just sat on a couch with someone and played like multiplayer like that. And it was so much fun. And I was like, to me, that's what the Nintendo 64 was about.
Yeah.
It was about like the Mario parties, the shooting games, the wrestling games, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf. Like all of those games were so much fun.
It was a party system. But it is very much like once you start listing them off, all of those games scratch the same itch.
Yeah.
So putting them all in one place on one console and like repackaging it and being like, this is worth hundreds of dollars. It's like, it's not.
No, it's really not. It's really not. It like, I would love to see them, because I mean, the Nintendo 64 kind of crawled onto the Wii and Wii U Virtual Console.
Yes.
Like certain games. And I would love to see them do that with the Switch now.
That is the only thing that's missing from the Switch for me, is some sort of access to previous games that I just want.
Yeah.
I want that avenue. It's part of the reason why I bought a Wii, is that it has I get to play Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, but I also get to boot up Link to the Past without digging out my Super Nintendo, which is at my parents' house.
Right. And that's one of the things that's kind of sad. And I think that the Nintendo 64 is where this started, and it's going to get worse and worse. Is I think a lot of those games are going to die and be forgotten forever. And like GoldenEye is one of them. Like it's between the fucking the controls that people are going to hate now, and the fact that the licensing and everything, GoldenEye, when you really think about it, dude, like GoldenEye is one of the first games that is I would consider it like borderline iconic, because everyone in that era played it. Mm-hmm. That is not available anywhere now, and you can't get it, and you're probably never going to be able to get it unless you buy a Nintendo 64, buy the cart, and find a couple controllers that work.
Yeah.
And then even if you did that, even for like you said yourself, like you still play it sometimes with your bro.
Yeah.
You can't like those controls.
I hate them.
Right. And that's what I mean. So like you would put like, let's say you sunk $150 into going out and buying a Nintendo 64, a copy of GoldenEye, and 3 or 4 controllers. And then you got some of your friends, like your old buddies, or the young kids that never played it, anybody. You're like, come over to my house, let's play GoldenEye. I really think that you would fire it up and be like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. We'd play it for 30 minutes and we get tired.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad that like that piece of gaming history is going to die, but they are. You know, the Super Nintendo and the NES games are classics that will be around forever. And even the GameCube, I think, like by them, that was the second generation of kind of 3D gaming, and they kind of had it figured out. But that original PlayStation, and in particular the Nintendo 64, like those games are going to disappear forever.
I think they have a higher rate of that. I don't know about that. There's still going to be diehard people like my brother.
Sure.
Because he's going to inherit that N64 and that copy of GoldenEye from my dad. Like he is.
Right.
Or he's going to steal it from him, like eventually. Like probably the only reason my brother hasn't done that yet is because he lives in California.
Right.
That's probably the only reason he does. If he lived in Canada, he would be over at my parents' place, and he would probably be buying it off my dad or something. Right. He'd figure out some way to be it because he's the only one that wants it. Yeah,
and that's like I get nostalgic for it, like that, and those wrestling games that I love, and some of those games. But then I'm like, if I went out and bought them, I think I would hate them. Like even Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they got ports and cleaned up for the 3DS. Oh, and everyone says they're by far the definitive versions of those games.
I would definitely say I would replay those ones in a heartbeat, but I have the remastered GameCube versions.
Right. So you're never going to play the Nintendo 64 one again.
No.
It's sad that like a game that was so like not even just GoldenEye, but like a system that was so important to people our age.
But also it's that controller.
Dude, that controller was so, and it's funny because like you said, dude, when that controller first came out, we were like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And now it's like, what in the fuck is this thing?
Oh,
like,
it's a knife in the chest. It's a drawback.
From a company.
Drawback.
Yeah, from a company that basically like figured out the home console controller with the NES and then perfected it with the Super Nintendo. Like was adding the shoulder buttons and the curved edges and stuff. And then the Nintendo 64, it was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like controllers now pretty much stem from the Super Nintendo base model.
Yeah.
Like shoulder buttons,
I feel
face
like
buttons, and directional pad. That's an element in the Xbox One and PlayStation. Like that's essentially what PlayStation came out with when they did their PS1. They were like, hey, look at this design that's already been done. They added stuff to it. But like that's their building block.
That was what I was going to say. I feel like the original PlayStation DualShock was a evolution of the Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah.
And then everyone ran with that. And then that was like the gold standard.
And you know what? They're right. Yeah. Like there's been like I've seen crazy controllers out there, and it's like there's no reason to do that unless you have some sort of like special need or like a particular skill. A lot of fighting game tournaments, big game tournaments will have like their own like joystick and like button press thing. Like those are specific needs. But I'm just talking general gaming, console, you want a controller for it. That sort of button and that layout works for 99 genres.
Yeah. The Nintendo 64 controller, like in looking back on gaming history, is such an albatross, with the exception of having an analog stick, which was new and crazy.
Yeah, that was the thing.
But even that thing, they couldn't find a way to put it on the left side with the D-pad. They had to build a third handle and stick it in the middle, and it was like, what the fuck?
And if you have an old N64 controller, those analog sticks are not that durable.
Yeah, they say like I mean I used to collect, but even when I collected, I never had a Nintendo 64. And they say if you can find one with a good analog stick, like it's worth its weight in gold now, or you have to order replacement analog sticks.
Yeah, like we have 4 at my parents' place, and there's like, you want to be the first pick, you want to get the certain color, you don't want to get the original one, because that one has been played so much. Like the analog stick, like it just like flops to the side. Yeah, it's very, very sad. But you want to get one of like the newer ones, like the Mad Catz ones that like they have a little bit stiffer of the analog stick. But it was like, that's
cool. That's cool. You guys still have it. I would love to just
in a box somewhere. It's covered in dust.
But still though, like I mean, you know how bad I wish that I could like, even prepping for this, like I've been replaying some old games, getting ready
yeah.
for this podcast. And like GoldenEye, I'm like, unless I want to go out and order an N64 USB controller, download a ROM and try it on there, just to find out that it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I feel the same way with this episode as I did with Ocarina, where I'm like, I kind of struggle with it because I'm like, I have fond memories of it from being a kid.
Yeah.
But as the gamer that I am 20 years later, I'm like, that's not the best. Like, it was great for the time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that game has not stood the test of time at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it would be so broken to play. And I would love to, I think it would be fun to get together with 3 of your friends that hadn't played it in 20 years and just get a case of beer and just be like, we're fucking split screening it up. No Oddjob. You have to call it right away. No Oddjob.
Yeah.
Let's play some GoldenEye. But I think after an hour or so, you would just be like, fuck this. Like,
Yeah, you'd get your fill very quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some games that I can, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but there are some games I can sit down and play it for like 6 to 8 hours.
Sure.
I'm taking breaks in between, obviously, but it's just like there's enough substance and fun there that it's like, yeah, you can do a marathon.
right.
There's one video game marathon thing for charity.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if you, what is it called? Extra Life or
Yeah,
something?
I think so. Yeah. Where you play for like 24 hours or something.
Yeah, and you don't have to. It's the marathon is like you can cut it up. You can do it in 2 days. You can do it over a weekend. My group of friends, we like to do the full 24-hour thing. It's just a big house. Like we do it anyway.
Right.
We do big house parties and play video games anyway. We just make video games the focus, and then we'll usually get like a DM. So someone will come over and like DM like a D&D encounter. So there's a group of people playing that for like 6 or 7 hours.
Right.
And then there's people playing video games and there's people playing board games and stuff like that. So it's just like a big house and everyone's gaming.
Sure.
And like retro games come out for like a little bit, but we only play them for like the first couple hours.
Sure.
And then we get into something a little bit more engrossing.
The
Unless you're trying to speed run something,
Yeah.
you need to kind of like keep changing it up.
a lot of those old games, like the repetition now sets in really fast. That didn't seem as apparent as a kid. Like playing Mario Kart with my nephew, Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I love it, but I'm like, this gets old really fast. And GoldenEye's do, because I'm sure you were the same way. We used to do like, we stay up all night.
Yeah, we used to play
playing
for
that
those
game.
for hours. Yeah.
And I don't think you could anymore because there's not enough there. You know what I mean? We're used to more now. It's just, it's sad. It's sad to look back because like I someday, I don't know who I'm going to do it with, but I am going to do an episode of this show about Mario 64, and I'm going to shit all over that game because that's my like secret. Like, I don't like Mario 64. I didn't like it when it came out. I don't like it now.
Well,
it's my least favorite Mario game ever.
Not going to be me on that podcast.
I don't, and I feel that way about a lot of Nintendo 60. Like the only 64 games that I'm like I would be legitimately excited to play again would be Mario Kart 64 and the wrestling games. That system just hasn't stood the test of time the way other ones have.
It also had weird, obscure stuff on it. Oh no, wait, that was on the GameCube.
See, and
Was that on the GameCube?
What?
I can't remember. Killer 7.
I want to say that was GameCube,
I think it was GameCube.
and it's GoldenEye. Like
It totally was.
when you sent me the list of games that you were like you were like interested in coming on the show about, I saw GoldenEye and I was like, yeah, I would love to talk about GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even sure if we could talk for more than 10 minutes about it because I'm only kind of foggy about my memories, you know. And now we've talked almost half an hour, and I know we got off topic a couple of times, but we kept coming back to it. It'll always have a special place in my heart because it was a fun game. It was the first 4-player multiplayer game, with the exception of maybe Mario Kart, that I remember like loving. And like I couldn't wait to go to my friend's house after school to play GoldenEye. And it was violent, but it wasn't violent because it was so stupid looking.
Yeah.
You know, there was blood and stuff, but it was cheesy blood.
Also, if you were familiar with like the original material, like if you had watched the movie, it's campy. It's a spy movie. It's in the realm of James Bond. It's got an element of ridiculousness that takes away from like the graphic goriness of it. But yeah, no, it'll always be fun, and I'll have memories of it. Like, what's that one level with like Boris and like Natasha? It's like near the end. It's kind of like the climax, sort of the plot line, and Natasha's trying to hack the GoldenEye
Oh,
satellite, and
yeah.
Boris is running on being like, I'm invincible.
Yeah.
That's such a fun
Yeah.
level. It's a difficult level. Like, that was probably one of, like, I was terrible at it.
Me too.
I think I had to get my brother to play that level when I got to it so that I could actually beat it and get past it. But yeah, no, it was fun. Cradle was a fun level.
I remember hating the forest level. You're in the woods or in the forest or jungle or something. I fucking hated that level.
Yeah, okay.
Because I would always get lost and I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to go. And
I remember the most haunting level for me, one that would like bring out like really weird dark feelings, was always the one where you're in this like graveyard, and like you're full of all the, it's not like a graveyard, but it's like it's full of all these like old Soviet Union statues, and you're supposed to find 006, and it's like you're just walking through these like old symbols of like a torn down empire.
Sure.
And it's so weird because it was Russia and everything.
yeah.
like that.
They did a good job of capturing atmosphere back then with what they had to work with too.
Yeah.
And I just remembered this. One of the things I thought was cool
Train was a good level.
yeah, it was. When you would play on higher difficulties, you unlocked extra, like you had to do extra things. It was almost changed the game. Like it was like instead of just get here, hit the alarm, get out. It was like get here, find these codes, hack this computer. It was like unlocking like different parts of levels that I never even knew about because I didn't play it on the easier, on the harder difficulties.
Yeah, though that sort of like replayability within the game itself, that was a really sort of like new dynamic thing that they were putting in there, and that was great. Yeah.
I think the hat should be tipped to Rare for they really put some love into the single. It wasn't just it almost feels like maybe when they initially released it, the multiplayer was kind of added on to the single player. Do you know what I mean? And then multiplayer is what everyone remembers. Yeah. But that campaign mode was really good. Like there was a lot of meat there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 5-minute game.
At the time, you're right. Like we keep coming back to this point. At the time, GoldenEye was like groundbreaking.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah. There's a reason that everyone that had a Nintendo 64 had GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Everyone had GoldenEye. Everyone had Ocarina of Time. Those were the two that everyone fucking had.
Yeah.
And then probably Mario 64 and stuff, but those were like the big two games. Like if you were to ask everyone what's a game you owned as a kid on your 64,
I think Ocarina was probably bigger than
Mario. Ocarina is number one, but GoldenEye is top 2 or 3 anyway. Everyone owned that game. Yeah. Okay, so then after shitting on it for 25-30 minutes, like I don't know, what would you like? It's hard to fucking prorate a game, but what would you give that game out of 10?
At the time, I'd probably score it like an 8 or a 9. Like when it came out, and like everything like that. Now it'd probably be 7, maybe a 7.5. I think it's still valid if there was a way to get that game, get the experience of that game, like what it gave me,
right?
From another source. I would say that is vital.
Right.
That's why I would say the Perfect Dark remake on the Xbox 360. I would say that's where you get that from.
Yeah, that game's dope. Play that.
Like if you can't get access to GoldenEye and you don't want to experience the hell that is the N64 controller, like don't avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
But you still want that experience. You still want that feeling what GoldenEye gave everyone, because that's more important than the game.
Agreed.
I think.
I agree with that.
That's available.
It's one of those.
That feeling is available. You just gotta look elsewhere for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I guess like back then I would have given it like a 9.
Yeah, it was huge.
Going into this, dude, I honestly would have given it like a 5 until you and I started talking, and now I'm so impressed with the meat that was in the single campaign and everything like that. Like, I'll give it a 7. Like I'm probably never gonna play it again. I think I'm okay with never playing it again. No. I'd rather just leave it in the past with it's like, I feel GoldenEye is like it's like the old Ninja Turtles cartoon or one of those things that I loved as a kid, but I'm like, now I'm like, this isn't that.
Yeah, if you go back, it's just going to ruin it.
Yeah, I'll just fucking, GoldenEye is like the girlfriend I had in grade 5 where I'm just like, you know what? You were probably good, but like, I'm just going to keep the memories there. I don't ever want to see you again. So
well,
that's a good,
I'm going to play it again. I know it's in my future.
You're going to, yeah. Well, fuck. No, I'm never going to play it again. Unless they release a Nintendo 64 Classic and somehow get it on. But I'm telling all you people right now, if you want a Nintendo 64 Classic, stop wishing for it, because you're going to get what you wished for and you're going to be angry that you got it.
It's not going to be the same thing as the SNES Classic.
Not at all. It's going to suck. Let's just skip right to a GameCube Classic.
There's a lot of really good gems
Yeah.
on the GameCube.
Dude, oh, I want a GameCube Classic so bad. Or GameCube on Virtual Console on Switch, because they never did that for the Wii. And the
Have they
Wii
not
U.
done that yet?
No, so give us GameCube games on the Switch, and I'd be so fucking happy.
They finally did Game Boy Advance games on the Wii U, which I loved because
Right.
I love the Game Boy Advance.
It has some great games.
Yeah, it had the Mega Man Battle Network games, which was like Mega Man plus JRPG elements. It was like I felt almost the same way that I played Super Mario RPG when I played Battle Network.
I'll have to try that. I haven't played those yet. I love Mega Man. I love Mega Man.
I would say they're cool.
Oh, yeah, and Mega Man 64 sucks. Just to tie it back to the Nintendo. Fucking Nintendo 64 could go fuck itself. Okay, thanks, buddy. Thanks for doing this. And that's going to do it for another episode of Remember the Game. You guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that was fun for you as it was for me. The nostalgia, dude, that comes with those old games. If you were the kid that used Oddjob in your family as a child, I hope that you've gotten the help you needed and you've turned your life around and you're not hurting people anymore. And that's all I have to say about it. Oh man, just the feels, the nostalgia. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, if you liked this podcast, please leave me a review. Please share it. Tell a friend. Let's keep the remembering army growing. That sounds dumb. I don't have a better way to close this out. Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll be back next week, okay? Thank you so much. Here we go.